Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that you're—
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high—
It's no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple.
A wishing apple?
You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not. First love's kiss can break any curse.
It's the most emotional experience that a person can go through to know that what they're working on is something that has reached a generation of people.
Oh my God.
Disagree with this sentiment. Just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the job.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Yeah.
Weird.
I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed.
Oh, really? Are you having trouble paying your bills, Rachel? Did Steven Spielberg not pay you for your role in West Side Story? Did Disney fail to give you a healthy paycheck for, like, Cry Me a River? She's just exactly everything that we can't.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarfs. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group. You just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage. There's power of being on TV. There's power of television. And to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story. Don't change.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
I know this point has been made, but this truly is the worst casting maybe in the history of the film industry.
Something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable.
It got destroyed at the box office. Here's the box office numbers. The Minecraft movie made $60 million on Saturday. Snow White made 2.
Big mouth. Rachel Ziegler just took another major hit, this time from The Simpsons. In their upcoming episode, The Simpsons are going straight for the jugular with a brutal parody of Rachel and her Snow White fiasco. The fake movie. In the episode is called Snow Woke, the reimagining. And yes, it's exactly what you think. A full-on mockery of Disney's failed attempt to modernize a classic. Rachel Ziegler is already drowning in bad press, fan backlash, and box office humiliation.
And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the woke we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
Minecraft. Yes, a movie about pixelated blocks, completely crushed Rachel Ziegler's Snow White and left Disney in utter embarrassment. The studio never imagined that casting Rachel would end up destroying one of their most legendary fairy tales. Most people didn't even know who she was until she started running her mouth.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
Hold on.
All right.
Yet theaters were empty. People recorded themselves walking into screenings where they were literally the only ones there.
The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Ziegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch, and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
And now the Simpsons are turning Rachel Ziegler into a national punchline. A joke everyone's going to see. Sources close to Rachel say she's furious. She's definitely not laughing. The cartoon portrays her as a tone-deaf, self-obsessed girl boss who's completely out of touch with reality. And let's be honest, a lot of people agree. As The Simpsons roast her on prime time, Rachel's scrambling to escape the disaster that is Snow White, a total failure she can't outrun.
Well, we all basically knew that Snow White was going to be a massive failure at the box office because of Rachel Ziegler's controversial statement.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
This is exactly what critics have been warning about for months. And now, with Rachel Ziegler already drowning in bad headlines, The Simpsons, one of the most legendary shows on TV, just dragged her even further. Let's be real, this might be the most humiliating moment of her career.
Rachel Ziegler just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that saying, Rachel Ziegler can F right off.
To understand how we got here, you've got to rewind to what once looked like a Cinderella story in the making. Rachel Ziegler was Hollywood's next breakout star. After her critically acclaimed performance in West Side Story, she landed the lead in Disney's live-action Snow White. It should have been the role of a lifetime. But almost as soon as the project was announced, things started spiraling. Not because of the film itself, but because of the controversy Rachel stirred up in her interviews.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. Yeah. Weird.
I just want to tell you guys about a incredible movie that just came out, Snow White. Wow. I just got to tell you, best movie I've seen in years, and there have been some really, really good films lately. Madam Web, Rebel Moon Part 1, that movie, that transgender one with the Mexican drug lord. But Snow White blows them all away. Chat, this movie has everything. Horrifying, CGI, little people, check. A feminist princess who don't need no man, double check. Diddy dance party at the end, double diddy check. All this to say, go see Snow White right now. The new one. Not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good, upstanding guy.
Instead of celebrating the legacy of the character or showing excitement about playing such a beloved icon, Rachel's sound bites focused on tearing down the original. In one now viral clip, she claimed the prince in the 1937 cartoon literally stalks her and called the story weird and outdated. The internet exploded.
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures.
Then crazier, and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay?
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs, you know?
For many fans, it wasn't just a hot take. It felt like she was mocking the very foundation of the classic she was being paid to represent.
And in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her." And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like minutes later, followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine."
And isn't her co-star Jewish?
Yes, Gal Gadot, whatever.
Gadot. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
They tried, they flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with Rachel Ziegler to say, "Could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful while you're trying to build an audience for a movie. Maybe you could save them for like your diary and your friends, but like maybe not, maybe just take the tweet down." And she wouldn't.
My name is Gal, and I'm Jewish. And we have had enough of Jew hatred.
Welcome, Rachel Ziegler and Gal Gadot.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible.
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
The backlash just kept getting worse, especially as more of Rachel Ziegler's interview clips started going viral. Some people tried to call her bold and modern, but to most, her take on Snow White came off as arrogant, disrespectful, and completely out of touch.
Would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm.
That audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, of what it means to be fair in this world. There is a message that's been carried on for almost 90 years now from the original animated classic. That is, fairness is what is within. Fairness is to do with your heart, the way you treat the people around you, and it has nothing to do with what you look like, and that's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the Evil Queen. I think it's such an important message, and the way that Disney has elevated it and brought it to this new audience is.
The phrase "girl boss Snow White" started trending online, and not in a good way. Suddenly, everything Rachel said was being picked apart. Every quote, every red carpet appearance, every interview, it all fueled more backlash. Instead of excitement, fans felt like the magic of Snow White was vanishing right before their eyes. And then things took an even weirder turn. Her awkward dynamic with co-star Gal Gadot during press tours and award shows. Fans couldn't ignore the strange body language between them, and at the Oscars, it was impossible to miss.
Alex, what has been the reaction to Disney's latest expensive own goal?
Well, the reaction has been absolutely horrible. It is the worst box office from a Disney live action remake that they've ever done.
I mean, they're projected to lose between $200 and $400 million on it.
When they presented together on stage, there was zero chemistry, barely any interaction. Rumors started flying. Gal Gadot had quietly distanced herself from the controversy, and behind the scenes, the two weren't exactly getting along. Meanwhile, as all this unfolded, Disney stayed oddly silent. No major PR shift, no new messaging, just business as usual. But the film, it wasn't landing with audiences.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is...
Snow White hit theaters with the full force of Disney's marketing behind it, but it didn't matter. Ticket sales were flat. Star power and brand recognition couldn't save it. The movie quickly became one of Disney's most divisive and embarrassing remakes.
The movie is doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
Has a major identity crisis.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
That flop is now cemented in pop culture history, thanks to a savage Simpsons parody. Classic Springfield sarcasm, cutting right to the bone. What was supposed to be Rachel Ziegler's breakout moment turned into a case study in how a bold rebrand can spiral into complete overreach. Whether you supported her modern take or hated it, one thing's clear. The storm around this film guaranteed her version of Snow White will be remembered, but for all the wrong reasons.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime, and let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely atrocious.
Disney deleted Someday My Prince Will Come and made a modernized feminist alternative.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
When the hype finally died down, the numbers told the real story. The box office was weak, and the IMDb score plummeted to 1.6, one of Disney's worst ever. Viewers didn't just ignore the movie, they celebrated its crash. Memes flooded social media. Reddit threads popped up with titles like "How Not to Market a Movie." And then it got even weirder. A fake OnlyFans account, using an AI-generated image of Rachel, went viral within hours. It was totally fake, but thousands believed it. Proof that her public image had fallen so far, even the most absurd rumor suddenly felt plausible. Hollywood took notice. Casting calls that once proudly featured Rachel Ziegler's name quietly moved on. Projects she was rumored to star in stalled or got recast. In just 1 year, she went from Disney's next big thing to a full-blown brand risk. Then came the public breakup with actor Josh Andres Rivera, adding a fresh wave of headlines and feeding the growing narrative of a young star unraveling under pressure. And just as the dust began to settle, The Simpsons struck their episode, Snow Woke. The reimagining features a parody version of Rachel Z, banning princes, lecturing villagers, and watching her movie flop in an empty theater before melting down on Krusty the Clown's show. When Springfield turns you into a punchline, you've crossed the line from celebrity to spectacle. There's still time for a comeback. Hollywood loves a redemption arc. But the climb is steep. A box office disaster, a tidal wave of backlash, and total silence from Disney have left Rachel's image shattered. Now, the world's watching to see if she can piece it back together, or if that brutal, yellow-skinned satire just wrote the final line of her fairy tale.